Hello friends and welcome back to our homestead. Earlier today I prepared a bunch of stinging nettle for my home remedies. It's a wonderful video. You should go watch it. It's going to be linked up in a description box. But with all of these stems that's left over from the stinging nettle, that this herb grows everywhere, and if you brush against it, it will sting you. That's what's called stinging nettle. As kids, we knew how to identify it because every time we went playing by the woods or by the riverside, we always would look for them, make sure that we didn't touch them or brush against them accidentally. When it comes out from the ground early spring, they're nice and short, and they're not stinging at that time. They're nice and gentle. But once they grow tall, and they can grow really, really tall if you let them go, if you brush against them, they have like this little tiny teeth, those little spikes sticking out of their stems. They will sting you. So even though it has that ugly name in its stinging nettle, it's actually quite medicinal and actually very wonderful for your garden. So gardening friends, you need to know stinging nettle. It grows everywhere, including probably back of your property, by your barns and in your orchards. Stinging nettle is high in vitamin A, B, C, K, and E. Also, it has lots of minerals. It has, let's start, potassium, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, calcium, and has lots of iron. But guess what we gardeners really like about it? This is going to be a wonderful help to increase nitrogen for your plants, for your soil. So when we rip them out, we can put them in a compost pile, and that's going to be a wonderful starter for the compost to start doing its composting, right? But also I like to make what I call a stinging nettle fermented fertilizer tea, and it's going to be fermented because it's going to sit in an ugly bucket. Trust me, you need to pick a bucket, a vessel that you don't care about, because it's going to become dark, it's going to be discolored, it's going to be quite smelly. I suggest don't keep it near your front door. Keep it somewhere far away. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks, closer to 4 weeks, to fully become fermented, broken down, and all of these wonderful properties of this plant will be in a bucket, will be in this liquid. It's going to be stinky, it's going to be dark, it's going to be a concentrate. As a matter of fact, this liquid that will be the fermented tea needs to be further diluted 1 to 10. It has to be diluted 1 to 10. So I have all these stems that I have left over from my stinging nettle, because I used up all the aerial parts, all the leaves, but the stems are quite woody, and I don't need them in my making home remedies. Instead, I'm going to be putting them here. Where am I? Did I have shears here somewhere? Yes, I do. I'm going to just roughly chop them and drop them in the bucket. That's all I'm doing right now. Okay, maybe I should get myself a new garden shears. These are not very good anymore. Oops. So I'm gonna just fill up my bucket. How much? Probably halfway, maybe a little bit more. And that's gonna be the start for my fertilizer tea. It's gonna take a while, like I said, 2 to 4 weeks, but preferably 4 weeks, to become the full-fledged fermented tea. All I'm doing, I'm just chopping them roughly, or you can break them if you want and put them in here. If you are not making home remedies and it's a full plant with leaves and everything, even better. But in my case, like I said, I use the leaves to make homemade remedies, okay, for allergies, for anemia, for so many things. Goodness, so many things. Go watch that video, I explain everything there. Okay, but this one, you just drop them in here. What else I like to do is that once I drop them here, I just bruise them a little bit. So you can take a stick or something and just pound them a little bit, just to break them up a little bit, or you can just bruise them, literally bruise them, because this is going to help to fermentation to do its job a little faster. If you don't want to bruise it, leave them just like this. It's still going to turn into a stinky, fermented, sludgy liquid. How appetizing is that? But it's very appetizing for our plants. You know when your cucumber plants start turning like little yellow leaves later in the season, right? And you're like, oh, what's going on? Well, maybe those cucumbers need a little bit more nitrogen. Guess what has a lot of nitrogen? Stinging nettle. So when it grows on your property, that doesn't mean that it's a nuisance and you should get rid of it. We need to know how to use it for our benefit, because God placed it in our property for our benefit. So here I am just cutting them up, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do next in 1 minute. So I'm just took a little something to pound it with, just to bruise them a little bit. It's gonna help to release the nutrients into the fermented tea. Just think about it, it's almost like making sauerkraut, except that it's not. All right, just pound them a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing special about it. All right, let me get some water now. And now I'm just gonna fill up the bucket with water. All the way to the top. All right, so the bucket is full. I'm just gonna put a cover on. It's better be covered just like that, okay? Because the fermentation is going to begin. Every few days with a stick, I'm gonna come and I'm just going to kind of stir this up a little bit just to make sure everything is distributed nicely. And I'm gonna keep it several feet away from the front door, because fermentation is fermentation. It's gonna start doing its thing, breaking the plant material down, and it's gonna produce aroma. But that aroma is fantastic, gonna be for a garden. So let this sit 2 to 4 weeks. If the weather is cool, it's gonna take longer. But if it's very hot, it's gonna be much, much faster. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you will be ready. But if it's a cool weather like it is right now in New England, it's quite cool, we're only in 60s, it may take definitely all 4 weeks. At 4-week mark, you can strain it, or you can just take the liquid out and further dilute 1 part of the concentrate of this fermented tea to 10 parts of clean water when you're gonna go ahead and fertilize your vegetable plants in a garden. It's gonna be fantastic nitrogen supply for the plants. Once I'm done with this liquid, with all of that messy sludge that's left over, I'm gonna dump into a compost pile, because it's gonna bring that beautiful probiotic into the compost pile, and it's gonna start, and it's actually boost up the breakdown of the compost. Like I said, it's a great starter. As I have mentioned, it's gonna turn into a much darker color. It's gonna become foamy and stinky. This is 3 weeks since we set this up, and I'm going to be using it today in the garden to fertilize my bell peppers, because bell peppers and eggplants, because they look a little sad right now. Since we transplanted them in a garden, we had some pretty bad cold weather, especially at night. And as you guys know, the Mediterranean vegetables don't like the cold. So I'm gonna use this to give them a little boost of nitrogen right now. The dilution, as I've mentioned, should be 1 to 10. So 1 part of this liquid is gonna go in the bucket, and I'm gonna chase, and I'm gonna add now 10 parts of the same water measured by this cup. It's a big cup. If this is a big 5-gallon bucket, and I'm going to make sure that I dilute this and mix this nicely in the water now. One thing to remember is that when fertilization takes place, it's important to remember that the soil cannot be dry. So I love to fertilize the next day after rain or after I water the garden, so the soil is nice and moist. Also, it is best to fertilize either early morning or late in the afternoon when the sun is no longer up and like the heat of the sun is not up.
Those are very two important precautions to keep in mind when we're doing fertilization. Otherwise, diluting is 1 to 10 is important because we don't want to burn any roots. We don't want to burn any plants. We want to fertilize them.
Stinging nettle, it's not just good for our health. It's not just nutritional and medicinal, but it's also very nutritional and medicinal to our plants in a garden. So friends, I hope you are encouraged to grow a garden and fertilize it naturally without 10, 10, 10 bags from big box stores. On this note, friends, be encouraged and try something new.
One thing to remember